Dear Dynasty, hey y'all, hope y'all doing well. So the other day, I did a tippy tip on Instagram and I was talking about how important it is to carry a journal. I've also posted it on my LinkedIn, so if y'all on LinkedIn, come connect with your girl. Like I said before, I'm trying to use like every platform that I could to put my voice out there and to be like expressive, be as expressive as possible. Like after I did um that little tip, I was thinking about something else and I went to go grab my journal, and when I grabbed my journal I couldn't find a pencil. I was about to use this marker, and then like I ended up reading like something that wrote before, and I was thinking like why I wrote that. And so when it came to me writing down the thought, it like completely left my mind. So like I couldn't even think back to what I was like, why, like the thought just was gone. I could not remember nothing. I was like, it was crazy. It was almost like the thought was literally snatched out of my mind. But later on that day, I was listening to Pretty Boss, and for some reason, I was listening to like her older videos from 2023, like her older podcasts. And that's when I really started to like starting to think deeper into my own spiritual journey. And when I was hearing those older episodes, it brought me back to that version of myself back during 2023. Because on the podcast, she was like, it's 2023. And I'm like, the hell? How am I listening to something way back then? And like 2023 for me is when I got back to listening to her, because I wasn't listening to her for a while because I was going through something. So I wasn't really on YouTube or nothing like that. I was really like focused on the situation that I had at hand at that time. So once that situation had like I had got back on my feet basically, and I was listening back to her videos on YouTube, and then she mentioned Patreon. So I had got on Patreon in August. This is like after my birthday, and like I completely was turning like I don't know what happened. I was just shutting down. Like I had turned 29 at the time, so it was like I don't know, something just came over me, and I was just going into a different mode where all the stuff that I was doing at the time to like make me forget about the fact that I just experienced something. Like I was hanging out every weekend during the week, drinking, just being a young little thing, just having fun. And I ended up staying home more and stuff like that. And I was started listening back to her, and I got on Patreon, and she was mentioning how she's about to do a 30-day challenge. And I think it was 30 days of success and money. And if I'm not mistaken, I can go grab my journal, but I feel like the last, and then we did like love and just success in general, I believe. I don't want to get it wrong. But while I was listening to that, but that's where I was at. And then, I started doing my tippy tips. I named, like, I was going on not YouTube, child. I hadn't stopped doing YouTube at that time at all. But I started to name my tips. Like I was going on Instagram just giving out little tips every day. And I started to name them. By the time like October hit, I was naming them tippy tips, magnificent tippy tips. And so that's where I was at that time. And it made me kind of like reflect on now in the situation that I had going on with calling stuff my funk, you know. But while I was listening to that certain video podcast, I wrote something down in my journal, and it's a good word ain't always something you should follow. And that had nothing to do with what she was talking about, but it came to me. For me, I can listen to anybody, spiritual, religious, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all people, we're all beings trying to figure out life. So we all have different experiences and different paths. So I always keep an open mind to when it comes to anything somebody is elaborating on, or any podcast or any child. I might wake up on a Sunday and want to listen to church people, you know. A word is a word. You take it how you take it. You know what I mean? And just because somebody tells you something that's good doesn't automatically means it's meant for you. Just because something worked out for somebody else doesn't mean it's going to work out the same way for you. Like, you don't know what they had to sacrifice, what they studied, what they prayed about, and what they just do daily as a practice of life, any ritual, or you don't know what they do with their life, or like what they went through before they got the results that they received, you know? That's why I believe it's important to follow yourself, study, pray on it, and let the Most High make room for whatever is meant for you. Then be consistent with it. You know what I mean? Some prayers you pray one time and let them go. Other prayers you have to pray consistently. You have to pray over your mind. You have to pray over your children. You have to pray over your health, your future, your purpose. You continue protecting yourself, because consistency is what builds the life you're asking for, you know? And this week, I just found out something that was really just devastating, something I wasn't expecting. And it made me sit with myself even more and think about everything I've been processing spiritually. Sorry, y'all. The commercial had went on. Oh my goodness. I'm listening to the Hertz. If I'm saying it right, the frequency sounds in the background, and I started doing it when I was getting my thoughts together on how I wanted to do today's episode, and that thing went on commercial. Not commercial, it ended, so it's going to the next video, and a dang on commercial popped up. But what I was saying, like this week I found out some devastating news, something I just wasn't expecting. And it made me think about how we grow up believing what our parents believed and what their parents believed. Then one day, some of us have a different path. You know, some of us decide that we don't want to believe the things that our parents believe. We don't want to continue this generational curse of what our parents endured, or just how we grew up. Like, not everybody is meant to follow like the same path that their family followed. And that's where us black sheeps, they like to call us black sheeps, come in at. Some of us are like meant to walk alone for a while, and it sucks. And I was just here talking to my son about that, and I kind of realized something. I feel like I'm like the only person on both sides of my family who really don't have someone I can talk to about certain things, or just have a family bond and relationship with. Like, I have my dad, but sometimes our conversations remind me that not everybody is able to meet you like where you at. Like, we're just not mentally or spiritually on the same level. So it's good to have that family, but or that relationship, but it's not like my children don't have that relationship with their family as I had with mine as a kid. Like, I grew up in a house with my cousins and just going to my cousin's house for a weekend and stuff like that. Man, this is like the third time I'm hitting record. Now my microphone had died. We gonna get some better equipment going on in the future. But anyways, but I just realized, like, I don't want my children to grow up feeling like they have to become who everybody expects them to be. I want to make a room for them to have that freedom to discover who they really are and what they chose their vessel for. You know, that bo- that like that brought me back to the business book I've been reading, and the author talks about businesses that look successful in the beginning, but years later they fail. And I think he was saying, like, in maybe a 2 year period, like, these businesses, they fail. And when something like that happens, you don't just quit, especially when you're an entrepreneur and you like somebody that wants to accomplish like a successful business. You go back to the drawing board and you figure out what happened and you rebuild. And I realized, like, life is the same way. Sometimes we have to go back to the drawing board, not because we're failures, but because we've drifted away from ourselves at some point. When I looked at my own drawing board, I remembered who I am. Like, I do music, I help women, I help single mothers. I want to help the homeless as much as possible. I'm out there in the field, I'm feeding them once a month, get into it. You know what I mean? Anytime I can help somebody that's out there, I'm doing that. You know what I mean? I want to use my voice. I build things, and I'm very confident. They call me cocky. You feel me? I had to make a song about it, you know? But I've learned that just me being comfortable with who I am, sometimes along the way, I got busy working overtime, busy helping somebody else build their dreams up, busy giving like ideas away, busy accepting relationships that weren't adding anything to my life, no sort of value, just conversation. I became so busy that I stopped building my own dynasty. Then something happened, like, that brought me back to myself, that snapped me out of this funk that I've been calling it. And it was my children, my boys, my babies, man. when we joined that family program, I remember joking about it, and I was like, y'all just wanted to join the program because y'all saw the food. And my oldest looked at me, he said, no, it's because we can be closer together, as a family. And that right there, that hit me, because in my mind, like, we live together and it's just us. So we together every day, like, we close. But emotionally, we weren't as close as I thought we was. I was working in the morning, working overtime. I come home from work, I gotta work. Over the weekend, I'm working. I'm always building something that wasn't, mine. Anyway, ours. Me and my boys. And during the program, we had they had us do these flashcard questions. It's this game for questions to ask, like, family while y'all sitting down and stuff like that. And I think I asked a question about, like, how could I be better or whatever. And my kids was like, being, home more, being more present while I'm home. And that moment helped me start putting boundaries around my job. Because during that program, my kids said that a few times actually. It helped me to start coming back home and not work, but cook, sit down together, and it helped me come home, not just physically, but mentally as well, and spiritually, and also emotionally as well. Yeah. And looking back now, it's been about a year since I started doing all that overtime. Before that year was even came to pass, I had already started coming back to myself, but it made its year turnaround. And what I had to tell myself is, sometimes the funk is not really a funk. Sometimes you're just tired, and sometimes you just need rest. Sometimes you need to step away long enough to remember why you started in the first place. For me, like, I needed time with my children, I needed time with myself, I needed time to clean my house, I needed time to get back into prayer, I needed time to stop surviving and start building again. And I realized, like, going back to the drawing board isn't starting over. It's remembering who you were before life distracted you. And I've also wrote a Medium article this week called "The Library," where I talk about carrying everybody else's problems before I finally decided to put that weight down. And so if that resonates, go check it out. I'm on Medium, Magnificent. But until next time, y'all stay safe, y'all stay blessed, and most importantly, stay you. Bye.